The question is that the bill be now read a second time. Ms. Jessica Tan.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Sir, with the trends and disruptions that businesses face, predictable and fair tenancy conditions and environment are key for businesses to better plan and manage. This is especially so for businesses in the retail sector, both large and small, as rental of premises form a significant part of business costs. This fact was acutely felt when retail businesses were heavily impacted by the COVID pandemic, when the ability to operate from their retail premises had to be restricted or even halted. Likewise, for landlords, both large and smaller landlords, as rent is the source of income. While I do agree that the balance of power does tend to favor landlords, as we give due consideration for the needs of retail businesses, we have to take a win-win approach for both landlords and tenants. If this is achieved, retail businesses can have fair and predictable rents and terms and conditions to allow them to operate in a highly competitive market, while landlords can benefit from the occupancy and continue to invest in the quality of their properties and marketing programs. As MOS law has outlined, the bill seeks to mandate compliance with the key leasing principles in the code with permitted deviations that have to be jointly declared by landlord and tenants for all retail lease agreements with tenure of 1 year or more. It also seeks to establish the dispute resolution process and officially establish the functions of the Fair Tenancy Industry Committee, or FTIC. I am supportive and agree that it is timely to move ahead with legislation and the compliance of the Code of Conduct for the leasing of retail premises, or for short, the Code. Let me share why I think it's timely to move ahead with legislation. One, the Code enables fair and balanced lease negotiation process benefiting both landlord and tenants. It sets out clear leasing guidelines and negotiation principles for landlords and tenants of qualifying retail premises in Singapore. This is an effort by industry, comprising landlord and tenants, who are the key stakeholders, and supported by government, industry experts, and academia. The Code was developed and released in 2021 by the Fair Tenancy Pro Tem Committee, which was formed in 2020 under the auspices of the Singapore Business Federation. The Code contains 11 leasing principles for key tenancy terms, confidentiality clauses, and data transparency. This is important as it provides clarity on the terms in the lease agreement, easing the leasing negotiation process for landlords, and more importantly, for tenants, the Code addresses key concerns over an imbalance in bargaining power. The second reason is that there has been positive voluntary adoption of the Code. After the release of the Code in 2021, it is positive that over the last 2 years, major industry landlords and all government landlords have voluntarily adopted the Code. So that is a positive sign, because clearly the Code is fair and for both parties. Third, support is in place for ease of compliance. The FTIC has taken several actions to ease compliance for landlords and tenants with the launch of a sample lease agreement template, a portal to facilitate joint reporting by landlord and tenants on deviations, and FTIC has also developed a checklist for lease negotiations. And fourth, there has also been very active engagement with industry stakeholders. Through outreach and briefing sessions with industry stakeholders, which included the TACs, the Law Society, real estate agencies, FTIC has received feedback and has updated the Code. The government too has conducted industry and public consultation on key provisions in 2022. So before I conclude, I would like to say that while we recognize the benefits and should go ahead with legislation, we should not expect legislation to be the panacea for all issues. Lease agreements are between two parties, landlord and tenants. Ultimately, in every good relationship, we must adopt a win-win approach, one that is fair and predictable for the tenant so that he or she can focus on growing the business while aligned to market conditions so that landlords can continue to make investments to maintain the property and promote vibrancy. I'm glad that MOS has just reassured us that the FTIC will continue to review and engage landlords and tenants to obtain feedback and with the appropriate approvals, update the code. And this is important to ensure the relevance of the code. Mr. Speaker, I support the bill. Thank you.